Now with more offseason moves taking place this year than ever in the NBA, and players like LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Kemba Walker switching their numbers with their new teams, who's really the best player of each jersey number this season? Now with Russell Westbrook coming off his third straight triple-double season, he's arguably the best player to wear the number 0, with his only competition being up-and-coming Jason Tatum and recently signed Laker DeMarcus Cousins. But of course you can't forget one of the most clutch players in the league, who just signed one of the biggest deals in history and even took Westbrook down in the playoffs, Damian Lillard, who put up 26 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists per game last year. Now it's no doubt that Devin Booker has made waves in the NBA since being drafted, being the first Suns player to score 50 points in back-to-back games last year, and even dropping a ridiculous 70-point game a few years back, being the youngest to accomplish such a feat. But other than him, at the number 1 jersey slot there's not many stars repping it other than recently traded D'Angelo Russell, who's coming off his career best year and is now looking to add a championship with Golden State. Now coming off his second finals win as well as his second finals MVP, and accomplishing what Toronto had never done before, with Kawhi Leonard shocking the world announcing he'd be playing for the Clippers next season alongside a recently traded Paul George, he's obviously going to be a main headline all season long, but other than him at this spot, Lonzo Ball and John Wall are the only other notable players who share the number 2 with Kawhi. Now with Anthony Davis already being classified as one of the best players in the entire league, one of the biggest moves of the summer came from him being dealt to LA as soon as the offseason began. With AD growing up in Chicago, part of his inspiration for the number 23 came from none other than Michael Jordan, but his favorite player growing up happened to be LeBron James, who also played a huge factor in his influence. And now the two look to team up with the Lakers, as LeBron even allowed him to rep 23 while he changed to 6 for this season. With production issues for the upcoming year on Nike's behalf, the change would have to wait a year, as Anthony then posted on his Instagram he was taking it back to elementary school days, where he's gonna rock number 3 this year. But Anthony's coming off a 26-point, 12 rebound, and 4 assists per game season, while being placed on minute restriction to preserve his value last year in New Orleans. So it's scary to think about what him and LeBron will be able to do together this year, but at this number 3 spot, there's still significant talent of Bradley Beal, who's coming off a 25-point, 5 rebound, and 5 assist career high season. CJ McCollum, who helped the Blazers make a deep playoff run last year. And even Chris Paul has been a trending topic all summer long, being traded away from Houston. Now Victor Oladipo did take his game to another level as he emerged as the Pacers' best player after being traded from the Thunder. And although Oladipo struggled with a devastating injury this past season, he's by far the best player to wear the number 4, as he proved the season previously, carrying Indiana to the playoffs. The only other notable name at number 4 is Paul Millsap, who's part of the young and upcoming Denver Nuggets, but doesn't compare to Victor, as he averaged 18 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds per game last year before going down. Now obviously De'Aaron Fox has been thriving with the Kings since being drafted a few years back, and he edges out Dennis Smith Jr., who also wears number 5, but recently got traded to a struggling Knicks team. But De'Aaron remains the best player on the Kings roster as he elevated his game to a new level last year, putting up 17 points, 4 rebounds, and 7 assists per game, nearly winning the NBA's Most Improved Player award at the NBA Awards this summer. Now it was heavily anticipated coming into this year that LeBron James was going to be the leading number 6 of the league, but due to production issues over on Nike's end, they decided to postpone the change to keep him number 23 this year, as well as Anthony Davis going back to number 3. So with that being said, recently signed DeAndre Jordan, who headed to the Brooklyn Nets to team up with Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant this summer, becomes one of the leaders of the number, as well as Eric Bledsoe over in Milwaukee. Now with Kevin Durant constantly striving in Golden State, making 3 straight NBA Finals as well as 2 championships, even though his postseason recently cut short suffering a devastating injury, he still managed to have one of his best years combined with the regular season, which is why coming into the summer, teams were looking to offer him a max deal regardless. But once again, KD shocked the world, announcing a fresh start in which he'd form a big 3 with Kyrie and DeAndre, as well as changing his jersey number to 7. Something he actually teased the world about months before and nobody even noticed when he wore a black hat with the number on it, so you know that this was in his plans for quite some time. But with that being said, it's honestly hard to compare to his 26 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game, so his only competition here at number 7 is Kyle Lowry, and of course Carmelo Anthony, who looks to return to the NBA this year. Now with Kemba Walker making it clear that he gave Charlotte all he had and constantly elevating his game each year, he made it clear this year he wanted to be part of a winning organization instead, and this summer shocked the NBA world, taking his talents to Boston to replace Kyrie Irving. He's also switching his number to 8 and averaging 25 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists per game last season, made nobody else rocking the number even close in comparison. Now with Nikola coming off his best season, averaging a double-double, 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists per game, he was rewarded huge with a 4-year, $100 million contract to stay in Orlando, as he actually carried the Magic to the playoffs last season, something that hasn't been done in quite some time. Now, it's no doubt that DeMar DeRozan became the Spurs' best player after being traded to them from the Raptors for Kawhi Leonard. And after averaging 21 points, 6 rebounds, and 6 assists per game last season while carrying San Antonio to the playoffs, no one else rocking the number 10 even comes close, with the only other notable player being Eric Gordon of the Houston Rockets. Now, despite the constant narrative of Kyrie leaving Boston all season long, he still strived under the constant spotlight, having one of his best all-around seasons ever, averaging 24 points, 5 rebounds, and 7 assists per game. Now, obviously, all eyes were on him leading into free agency as he made a league-changing decision to head to Brooklyn and team up with his close friend Kevin Durant. With KD set to miss this season, this could potentially be the best year of Kyrie's career as he looks to yet again be the main focal point of a team. But putting up numbers like that last year, the only other competition at number 11 doesn't really compare, as the most notable player rocking it is either Mike Conley, who was recently traded to Utah, or Klay Thompson, who signed a $190 million deal to stay in Golden State. Now, James Harden's done unbelievable things the past few seasons, from winning league MVP to averaging nearly 40 points per game last season. But although Harden has some competition with Paul George, James is still crowned the best, being able to lead his team to late playoff runs as well as a few trips to the Western Conference Finals, while individually having better stats than PG-13, who was recently dealt to the Clippers team to actually team up with Kawhi Leonard and is obviously set to be a main headline next season. Now, Brandon Ingram started off the year very solid, once again looking young and promising here at the beginning of his career, having his best season, averaging 18 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists per game, till he ran into injury that would sideline him for the rest of the year. But with him being dealt away from the Lakers to the Pelicans in the Anthony Davis trade, this could be his most promising year yet on a young and upcoming Pelicans team, where he can now become a main option once again as he continues to develop another year with a team that could potentially compete in the NBA playoffs. Now, Nikola Jokic has easily become the best player that currently wears number 15, especially with Kemba Walker switching numbers, but more so with his recent dominance as a big man in Denver, making it deeper into the playoffs than recent years, being a top seed in the Western Conference last season, and becoming a walking triple-double. With him being one of the best playmaking big men in the league today, he also averaged a double-double this season, 20 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists per game while shooting over 50% from the field, some of the most impressive stats of big men in the league today. Now, with no real competition at number 20, despite suffering a devastating injury a few years back, Gordon Hayward is still the best player to wear the number. With him coming off the bench last year, only averaging 11 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists per game, it looks like this next season he has the chance to redeem himself as Kyrie Irving departed from the team. Now, Joel Embiid has quickly cemented himself as the best player in the league to wear the number 21 as he continues to get better while trusting the process. Once again stepping his game up to another level last year, averaging 27 points, 13 rebounds, and 3 assists per game, he once again helped carry Philly to the playoffs where they nearly took out the Toronto Raptors, which would have in fact given them a significant chance to actually bring a title home. But Embiid's continued development each year is scary, seeing as if he once again gets better, he could become one of the best players in the entire league this year. Now, Chris Middleton has been significantly underrated up to this point, but nevertheless, he's quickly emerged as the Bucks' best shooter and showcased his skills in the regular season, with the Bucks having the best overall record and in the playoffs up until the Raptors took them out in the Eastern Conference Finals. Despite Andrew Wiggins of Minnesota being close behind, Chris still managed to put up 18 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists per game last year, even making his first All-Star game. And with that being said, Middleton was rewarded with a huge contract this summer, 5 years with $178 million, and he vowed to elevate his game to another level to get Milwaukee a championship opportunity in the near future alongside Giannis. Now, with LeBron James having one of his best seasons last year before going down with the most devastating injury of his career, it was no doubt despite his 27 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists per game he needed some help. Coming into this summer, LeBron was already flexing on Instagram preparing for next season, and with one of the biggest moves of the offseason, the Lakers acquired Anthony Davis. Now, there was plenty of speculation as to what would happen between the two both rocking number 23, and LeBron decided it was time to go back to his Miami days of rocking number 6, until Nike released that there would be too many production issues as well as a huge financial hit to the company. So they decided to postpone the number change till next year, and LeBron will continue to rep 23. With Ben Simmons quickly becoming one of the best players in the Sixers, and even one of the faces of young upcoming talent in the league, with that being said, he's easily the best player to wear the number 25 and no other competition other than Derrick Rose, who is recently headed to Detroit. But Ben was rewarded with a $170 million extension this summer to stay in Philly, and despite his jump shot constantly being memed on social media, he still put up an impressive all-around game of 17 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists per game in just his second year, already being compared to LeBron James and Magic Johnson in terms of playmaking ability. So if he does get that consistent jump shot, it's honestly scary what he could become with everything else so on point already. Now, it's definitely no doubt that Rudy Gobert has been underrated his entire career. This is exactly why he chose the number 27 to represent all the teams that passed on him in the NBA draft. But with him once again winning Defensive Player of the Year at the NBA Awards, he's getting plenty of attention now as he continues to get better. 16 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists per game is his best season yet, but looks to improve as Utah will look to become even better this next season, and interestingly enough, Gobert is actually eligible for the biggest contract extension in NBA history if he plays right. Now, Steph easily wins the battle for best player in the league to wear the number 30, and even if there was some competition, he still is arguably the greatest shooter in the history of basketball, looking to return to his MVP self this season with Kevin Durant leaving and Klay Thompson to miss a large part of the year as well. Steph himself is already a 3-time champion in this super team era, and he put up one of the best seasons of his career, 27 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists per game last season, which is scary as he was the second option the majority of the year and can easily elevate to 30 plus a game, being their main focal point once again. Now, Karl-Anthony Towns has quickly become one of the best big men in the league with Minnesota as he put up 24 points, 12 rebounds, and 3 assists per game last season. Only playing 4 years in the NBA, he's been predicted he could become a face of the league as his game continues to get better in the near future, and he's barely missed any games any season so far in his career. Now, with Giannis making a case for best all-around player in the entire NBA last year, carrying the Bucks to the best record in the league, even winning his first MVP, some say if Toronto wouldn't have taken them out in the playoffs, this would have been the Bucks' year to bring the title home. But regardless, Antetokounmpo keeps improving at an alarming rate with numbers of 27 points, 12 rebounds, and even 6 assists per game last season. And with him continuing to be hungry to accomplish more, he actually could improve these numbers next year as he looks to end the championship drought in Milwaukee. Now, Al Horford has held the record for best player to wear the number 42 for years now, with nobody else even close. And with him not being used to max potential in Boston, he recently signed a 4-year, $109 million deal with the 76ers to continue competing in the East. Now, with Pascal Siakam making noise in the NBA this past year, stepping his game up to another level, even securing the Most Improved Player award after helping Kawhi carry Toronto to a championship, his already 17 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists per game is nothing to take light of as he looks to be a main option on the team next season since Kawhi left for LA. And with that being said, Toronto knows his true potential, which is exactly why they declined trading him away for superstars like Paul George and Russell Westbrook when OKC offered it, so it says a lot about what he can really become. Now, Donovan Mitchell has quickly made a name for himself and of course making the playoffs his first 2 years being a face of Utah. Averaging 24 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists per game at such a young age is already getting him recognition from players of the past and present as he looks to blossom into a superstar very soon. And interestingly enough, he actually got inspiration for using this number 45 from Michael Jordan, who used it in baseball and when he returned to the NBA. Now go check out the highest paid NBA players of all time and subscribe to stay up to date with the NBA 100%.